Hello, I'm Sharon.
And I'm Wendy.
Welcome
Welcome
to
to
Brown
Brown Space.
Space. This is a safe space where we talk about the hard topic of racism.
And build empathy through the healing power of conversation.
Thank you for joining us. Oh
Hello.
my. This
Hello.
hello. This is so good. I've only known you, Jocelyn, for a little bit, but I feel the connect. I feel the connection. Welcome.
Thank you.
We're,
Wendy's got me singing here. It's lovely to be back.
we're so happy to have you on Brown Space today. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here today, truly.
Well, Jocelyn, we've known each other for how long? 2 years almost?
Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much.
yeah. And you you have an interesting story, in my opinion, which is why I was like, you have to meet Sharon. Sharon needs to meet you. Um, and then we were just like, oh, you need to be on Brown Space because you have a perspective that we don't get always, and it's important to share. So before we go all there, would you just tell us a little bit about you?
Sure. So I'm originally from Cameroon, which is in West Africa. I moved to the US for studies, and I'm still here now. I love to write poetry. I love um, talking about Black issues, and I love fighting for equality and equity in whatever way I can. So I am very honored to be here today to talk with you guys. It's very exciting. Uh, I'm sure we'll have a great conversation.
I remember that we chatted just a little bit about some of your poetry and what is included in that, because you can go from A to Z. And you
Right.
spoke a little bit about uh, Black women, their social life, their political content as it relates to just being Black in America and the differences between being from Africa or being an African American. And so there's a lot of meat for us to cover. And
Yeah.
we hope that when we get really into the conversation about some of these issues that you out there in Zoom land will find worth and meat in it. I have a lot of things to share. Jocelyn has so much. And of course, we know Wendy has a lot to share as well. So,
Well, that's why we have these awesome, friendly conversations,
mhm.
just so we can unpack the thoughts that sometimes I don't even know I have, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like what I don't know is a lot, and I keep discovering more of what I don't know.
That continuous learning, which is why I'm always so excited when I get to have conversations with people about, certain topics or topics like these, because there's so much that I don't know, and I don't know sometimes that I don't know, and then you have these conversations and your thought broadens and you realize the things you didn't even know you knew, and then the things you didn't know, and okay, I should learn more about this thing, because it's important for me to know, or I just don't know enough. So it's
Well,
exciting.
speaking of a topic that we're all still learning about, I think, is Juneteenth, which was yesterday, right? Only the second annual observation of this what we're calling a holiday, but I mean, I was actually conflicted yesterday. I didn't feel comfortable saying Happy Juneteenth because what are we commemorating? It's not like a birthday where it's just happiness. It's like, hey, there was some dark history, like unhappy history that we are saying stop now, thus far and no farther. And unfortunately, that history has not been wiped out because we've ignored it for so long. So, I mean, I've got a perspective on Juneteenth. I think that's different than maybe what yours is. I don't know, but I would love to know what each of you thinks about Juneteenth as a holiday.
Well, I know for me, when I think of the word commemoration, it doesn't necessarily mean let's come from a joy, joy, happy, happy place, right?
Yeah.
It's about remembering and honoring and shedding light on even the dark history that has come to make, who we are today,
Hmm.
right? And then how do we change that trajectory, that darkness, um, caused in terms of coming forward into where we are now.
Hmm.
So I don't necessarily, I was out to breakfast yesterday and I had a couple who came over to our table and said, Happy Juneteenth to us, right? And we looked up and we were like, okay, well, thank you. And so we got into this conversation, and she was like, I'm from the Midwest, and I guess people are saying I'm woke now, but I was always awake.
So
And
she's
we just,
white.
yeah, so we went through a whole conversation about Juneteenth and what it meant, for Blacks in America or America in general. And she was riveted to our table. Her husband had to come and say, okay, okay, it's time to go. She mentioned something very interesting to us, though. She said she had purchased a Black Lives Matter t-shirt and she was going to wear it to our commemoration here that we had in Lee County, but she got scared and she changed her mind. And that
Oh,
troubled my heart, because where should there be fear in that? And we I don't want to keep talking, but we've even
Yeah.
talked about, being able to step up and saying and doing, even in those areas or situations where you can stand up and shed light,
Hmm.
right? So I just found it interesting that she said that. That's one of the many things she said in the conversation.
Mm. Wow. Jocelyn, what are
yeah.
your thoughts?
I don't know that they're very far from Sharon's. Like, I really think of Juneteenth as a day of honoring, sort of the way I think of Memorial Day,
Hmm.
right? Like,
Hmm.
people sometimes go around saying Happy Memorial Day, and it's like, no,
Yeah.
this is a day of commemoration, of honoring. That's not the point. Um, not to say those two things, are the same. Those two days are not the same, but they have the same purpose, I think, to keep history at the forefront of our thought, right? So that we know, because you have to know history to be able to figure out what the present's going to look like and the future is going to look like.
Hmm.
And so I think that Juneteenth is a very important day, even though some people may not think so. They don't get the importance of it. I think it's a very important a day in American history to say this is what happened, and you should know. And knowing will help you understand why Black people in the US are still fighting for certain things, why they're still in the in certain places that they're in right now, why they're still struggling to catch up to the wealth in America. Like,
Yeah.
every single part of history, I think, is very important to understand the whys of the United States that exists right now. And so I think Juneteenth is a holiday that should be commemorated by everybody, because it is not just the history of the enslaved people here, it's the history of everyone who was in this country.
Absolutely.
So,
That is really important, Jocelyn. It is the history of everyone in this country because, well, here's just one example. On TikTok, there are so many fantastic content creators of African descent. And I follow a bunch of them because I'm just humbly learning, and I don't say anything most of the time because all I can do is be like, thank you for that information. Thank you for that viewpoint. I had not seen any of this, you know. Um, but one of the creators is a woman named Victoria Alexander, and she has this fantastic website called antiracistguide.org.
Ooh.
But I saw a TikTok that she had posted about Juneteenth just yesterday, and she emphasized the fact that the Emancipation Proclamation had happened what, a year or two before June, the Juneteenth date that we are recognizing. What we're commemorating is this sort of bizarre occurrence of 2,000 Union soldiers marching into Texas to say, excuse us, but you're behind the times. Free these people who you have enslaved for so long and then kept in enslavement extra time. And then the whites did not let everybody go. Some
Right.
of them were happier to kill them than let them have freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And one woman was kept enslaved, I'm sure many, but one example is a woman, and her name is escaping me, and I will find it, then post it in here. She was kept as in enslavement for 6 more years before the man would let her go. The
And
white
I'm
man.
sure there are many others, right, that we just do not know about.
Right? So to me, I think you hit it on the head, and why it's more somber is that it's about maybe it's more about the resistance
Hmm.
that is lingering in this country to equity and equality. Sharon, what were you going to say?
No, as you were speaking, and I think I had alluded to it before we started recording about really getting to know our history
Mm,
so that, lest we repeat those negative things, because even in the fact that, yes, this is a federal holiday, we still have a larger majority of the state that, yes, they recognize commemorating, but no, it's not a paid state holiday, which to
right.
me, is still that lingering of acceptance of, hey, this is a part of our history as a country.
Yeah. I
It's
think
just like the Texans who for 6 years held want to hold on to that.
Right.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, from my perspective, this day is important to commemorate because it forces us to start opening our eyes more and more as people of all backgrounds, people of all skin colors, you know, and then we need to be like, okay, wait, and this is not the only date that we need to understand. The issue is such a huge one. We're never going to be finished unpacking it, but we can certainly make better strides towards
Hmm.
solving the problems.
Right. Right.
So, yeah. So happy Juneteenth. I'm not sure, but in honor of Juneteenth,
Remember.
yeah, remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? So, when you mentioned this dear couple who are from the Midwest who came up to your table yesterday, Sharon, and I'm chuckling because, I understand where she's coming from. She wants to connect, but she doesn't know how. I mean, I have the same problem still when I see people I don't know. And I just don't want to connect with people, and I know there's this potential awkwardness, and so if I'm the one who breaks it, I feel like a complete fool most of the time.
You know what? We were so excited for her with her. And I hope that she knew that, because even as the couple left, we were like, thank you, God, if but one, right? But she said it took so much courage for
Mm,
her to even come over to the table and say that, but she pressed forward and she did it. And to me, that's a victory.
Yeah.
So of course, I gave her my card. I said, check out Brown Space. She gave me hers. And I if I don't hear from her, I will probably reach out to her, because it's not okay, we've talked about that too, we're going to go out and just change the world, 50,000 people at a
Yeah.
time. We're just having our conversation and living our lives and being authentic in our relationships. So if it's one more, I don't know where that might lead or where it would go, but
Yeah.
I felt good, and I think she did too.
I love how you said, she pushed forward. I often think of that as what is needed in an ally.
Mm.
Someone who is willing to push forward, and in spite of or despite whatever discomfort, they do it anyway because they think it's the right thing to do, and they don't know what the reception is going to be,
Mhm.
but they put it's the right thing, right? Because Black people in the United States of America continue to push because it's about them and they need to continue to work. But an ally can push to a certain extent and then get tired and say, you know what, this is uncomfortable. I'm tired. I'm done. But I love the fact that, she came. She was uncomfortable, but she was worried, but she still came and she still talked, and she did. And maybe she, like you said, she was worried about wearing her Black Lives Matter t-shirt. At that point, even though she didn't wear it, you knew that she cared about Black lives, right? Because she came to you.
Yeah.
So I love that. I absolutely just love that idea of pushing forward.
It's that transparency piece that we've touched on so much. And that's where real relationship starts, right? Is just being transparent and being authentically you. So we appreciated
Yeah.
her transparency, because
Mm-hmm.
it's the beginning of the building blocks to a real relationship that we can work together. Maybe not her and I, but she might meet another ally
Mhm.
from somewhere else, a person of color, that because she had that opportunity to be received, then the next time she does it, it will be better, and she will grow and cause someone else to grow.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
You've been watching Brown Space with Sharon and Wendy.
It's been so great talking and sharing here today. We look forward to your comments below, or you can email us at brownspace2020@gmail.com.
Remember, you are the light that gives light to the world.